Thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter, Tasia Floissac. Coming up, the National Employment Program continues. Over 200 students graduate from high schools this week, and Dominica and Russia celebrate 20 years of bilateral ties. Details of our headline stories and more after this.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Thanks for staying with us. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has disclosed that the National Employment Program will continue in the next financial year. The Honorable Prime Minister said that more money would be allocated in the 2015-2016 budget for the program's continuation. He was addressing a press conference on Tuesday.
We are reviewing it. I think the Minister for Employment is there, Honorable Douglas, who has done a fantastic job in advising us on a reviewed NEP. So, because what's up, for example, we have monies in the Ministry of Public Works for maintenance, brush cutting and so on. We spend a lot of money every year for this. But when you look at what the NEP people are doing in the Caribbean territory or in Vegas or elsewhere where I know, I mean, they're doing a fantastic job. And so the idea is we will keep these 371 or so who are on the community enhancement arm of the NEP, but that they will be paid on the funds provided to the Ministry of Public Works to do that particular task. So we're using creative ways of seeking to reduce the budget for the NEP, but not dropping the number in any dramatic or significant way.
Launched in December 2013, the National Employment Program started with a $7 million grant from the government of Venezuela. The program sought to create employment for young people. Since its inception, it has employed over 1,000 people from across the country. The program has numerous arms, including cleanup and beautification, education mentorship program, community development programs. Russia and Dominica are celebrating 20 years since the establishment of bilateral relations in 2005. On Thursday evening, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs hosted a cocktail event to mark the occasion. Invited guests included the President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre and Mr. Savre, former President Mr. Eliud Williams and Mrs. Williams, ambassadors of Venezuela and China, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Lennox Linton, and other members of the opposition. Her Worship the Mayor of Roseau, Irene John, and government officials. Russia's ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Vladimir Polonov, says his country considers this relationship a worthwhile one and is pleased that it has reached the 20-year milestone.
For our country, the cooperation with large and small states of Latin America and the Caribbean is one of the key and very promising areas of Russian foreign policy. We have much in common with you in our approaches to world affairs. There are, for example, commitment to multilateralism, to respect for international law, to strengthening the central coordinating role of the United Nations, to ensuring sustainable development.
Ambassador Polonov pointed out Dominica's beautiful landscape as well as the warm atmosphere of meetings between the two countries. He described the common goal of Dominica and Russia and development strides under development by the two governments.
Our common goal with Dominica partners is to reduce the path for our citizens to each other, to work for the further rapprochement of the two countries in the broad sense of this word. Logical step in this way could become a bilateral intergovernmental agreement on the abolition of visa requirements for short-term travel of citizens of Russia and Dominica, the draft of which is now under consideration by both parties. Its implementation will give, as we would expect, additional impetus to intensification of business, culture, sports, tourism ties. We also will welcome the participation of Dominicans by the scholarships programs provided by the government of the Russian Federation, offering an opportunity to study in our country, and by short-term courses for law enforcement officials, which are specially designed for the countries of the Latin America and the Caribbean, periodically organized by the Russian Interior Ministry.
Senator the Honorable Francine Barron, Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, shared government's hopes of a long and fruitful partnership. The National Abattoir is expected to provide more jobs in Dominica once completed by July. The Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says it's up to the population to demand local produce, thus driving growth of local businesses.
If we have the abattoir, which meets all international standards for phytosanitary conditions and so forth, and our people are able to produce, the question is, are we the consumers, the Dominican citizenry? Are we prepared to consume the locally produced chicken and chicken parts and pork? Are we going to still ask for the chicken which comes from elsewhere? Or are we going to demand from the supermarkets and from the restaurants that if you do not have local chicken, I will not come to buy chicken from you? So that when they hear that, they will stock up their freezers with local produce.
An average of 20,000 birds and 250 pigs will be slaughtered weekly when the abattoir becomes operational.
Government is laying the foundation for job creation. We are putting the investments in for job creation because the abattoir is fully financed by the state with support from the government of Venezuela. The government itself will be putting monies forward to lend to livestock farmers. But the government does not have within the government system, let's say the hospital and the prisons and so forth, to consume all of the meat that we can produce. So it's left to us now, the 70,000 people and visitors, to consume what we grow and what we produce in Dominica. And by so doing, we would reduce on the foreign exchange outflow from our country. We would assist with more growth in our country. We would assist with more job creation in our country, and would also reduce on the food import bill of our country.
In more news, the Grand Forks constituency can boast of an upgrade thanks to the Dominica Labour Party government, placing the area as a priority on its agenda for development. Sentiments expressed by the Honourable Parliamentary Representative Ira Stevenson on Wednesday. Honourable Stevenson met with constituents to first hand over a cheque of $146,120 for several projects in the constituency, and then to discuss with residents the further development of the Grand Forks constituency. Honourable Stevenson spoke of several accomplishments within his constituency.
Namely in roads, in infrastructure, in water supply development, in the area of playing field recreation, the lighting of the basketball courts, and I can tell you, my dear brothers and sisters, in terms of housing and all the other areas of development, when you add the cost, when you add the amount of money that has been spent, I can tell you that a significant amount of money has been expended in these villages of Monjon, River Streak and Grand Forks.
A noteworthy project that was well received by constituents is the Grand Forks Water Supply Project.
The BNTF, along with the Village Council and the Government of Dominica, an amount of $1.3 million spent again for the development of the Grand Forks Water Supply. And those of you here, especially from the Lodbow area, who just experienced the drought conditions that we had, you'd have known that in the past, that you would be carrying buckets of water, vanloads of pails of water to your homes, and you have passed a drought season without complaining of the absence of water in your taps. You now have in Grand Forks clean, potable water that is now making the lives of the people of Grand Forks very comfortable.
Over the next few days, the MP is meeting with constituents to discuss the future development of his constituency. You're watching National Focus. Still to come, a new Care for the Elderly group launched in Salibir. Stay with us.
Wash your hands. I am Abattoir, health educator from the Ministry of Health. Proper hand washing protects against the spread of many common illnesses and germs. Wash your hands often with soap and water, or you may use a hand sanitizer. Remember, clean hands save lives. Protect yourself.
A message from the Health Promotion of the Ministry of Health.
And finally, this news time is Sulukati Chrysolite, meaning Crayfish River Precious Stones, is the name of a new group formed in the community of Salibir with the elderly in mind. On Wednesday, an official ceremony was held to inaugurate the new group, whose motto is helping the elderly, caring for the needy. The Dominica Council on Aging, DCOA, is the umbrella organization for all senior citizens groups on the island. President of the DCOA, Zet Matuse, reiterated the council's drive to raise awareness about the abuse of the elderly. She presented President of Chrysolite, Linda August, with a certificate of affiliation from the DCOA and words of encouragement for the new group.
As a newly formed group in your community, you must endeavor to embrace all, and I put it within brackets, all seniors in your community, whether they belong to your group or not. You must welcome all older persons regardless of age, sex, political or religious affiliation. You have chosen the motto, helping the elderly, caring for the needy. And so you must demonstrate a caring attitude with all whom you encounter. You have to be the advocates for the elders, especially the poor, needy, and neglected ones, i.e. the marginalized members of your community.
Parliamentary representative for the Kalinago territory, Cassius Daru, also witnessed the inauguration ceremony. The Honorable Parliamentary Representative listed a number of projects initiated by government that benefit the elderly in the territory. These include housing, care for the elderly, provision of washroom facilities, and the recently initiated $200 monthly stipend for senior citizens. Honorable Daru said between the Yes We Care and the National Employment Programs, 41 senior citizens are being cared for in the territory. He encouraged members of the group to identify additional needy senior citizens to be placed under the Yes We Care program. He spoke of other areas that needs tending as it relates to seniors.
It is our intention from the Ministry of Kalinago Affairs to work closely with all groups, but most importantly with our local leader, the Kalinago Chief and Councils, to ensure that our senior citizens are well taken care of. So we need to ensure that all our senior citizens have access to pipe-borne water, electricity, cooking gas, for example, under the Petro-Caribbean program. All this we need to ensure that we make full use of them, Kalinago Chief, Obutu, to ensure that our senior citizens are taken care of. Recently, there's this group called the Dominica Guadeloupe Association group, which we had a meeting with in Dominica. And what we are planning to do is to provide some technical support to persons who are into caring for the elderly in terms of physiotherapy. So we will be making those services and programs available to those who are giving care to the elderly.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Services, Family and Gender Affairs and also of Caribbean Affairs, Sylvani Burton, also addressed the group.
Training for your members is of paramount importance to the success of the work that you will do. afford yourselves to every opportunity for trading. Group members, here you are today. This ceremony is very significant, but I am hopeful that before today, you had the opportunity to sit together as a team and think through your role, be it individually or collectively, and identify what your role will be. I am hopeful that you have identified the elders that you will assist. You would have to determine what help is needed for each individual, how to best interact with them, who you would have to collaborate with to bring them the needed care.
The group is 21 members strong and is the 5th group organized to care for the elderly in the Kalinago territory. And before we leave, here is an announcement. The Honorable Parliamentary Representative for the Grand Fork constituency, Ivor Stevenson, will hold town hall meetings at the following dates and times. Monday, June 29th at Cyrilla's Place in Montjean and Tuesday, June 30th at Ibex 20 at River Sirik. Villagers are asked to make every effort to attend and be on time as there are important matters to discuss. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is 2 courts in 1? The CCJ has 2 functions, an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt a condamné bien fort décision du gouvernement Dominican Republic pour déporter citoyens qui ni wasin haïtien. Gouvernement Dominican Republic prend décision pour citoyens qui ni wasin haïtien par juin 17, yo était supposé faire application tapiko en web. Quand même c'est 1100 citoyens salams qui pas à opposition obtenir tout document avant les salaires qui déjà passé, yo pas voyé yo à vivre Haïti. Premier ministre Skerritt fait parole qui yo tenu un meeting en Bruxelles en juin et puis gouvernement Dominican Republic ba commitment qui ces citoyens salams te qui taper régulation mais ça pas encore fait. Premier ministre Skerritt dit à dans ces moun salams pas ni pièce famille Haïti et puis les enfants pas à l'école. Premier ministre Skerritt fait parole que situation sans là qui discuté en l'autre grand meeting CARICOM qui pour chaîne en Barbade. En la nouvelle, un bateau médical dans l'Amérique qui visite Dominique mois prochain où là il y a un service médical ba public là. Parole ça là sorti au ministre santé honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow.
Bateau ça là c'est c'est no US Navy Comfort et ben c'est ça nous a créé comme floating hospital. C'est un bateau qui a US Navy qui a servi pour aider places et pays qui a souffert natural disaster et la guerre monde qui connaît mass casualty mais en temps là il pas de ces bitins ça là ça yo ka fait yo ka visiter différentes régions en latéral et ben dans ça là yo ka Caribbean et Latin America hod April pour mois octobre mais yo que rive Dominica ce jour 27th of July et ben yo ka wete là pour une semaine si mo changer bien et ben à ce bateau ça là bateau ça yo ka le faire you can need des différentes places là you ka we mon because you can be avec toute qualité spécialiste you can be avec nurse you can be avec docteur avec surgeon toute qualité.
Si le ministre Darrow c'est officiel là qui tient visite de l'occasion en Dominique.
You can we mon grammar school et Roosevelt Douglas Primary School à Guantas. Mais ça c'est à terre mais à ce Abattoir même, il y a toute facilité, toute modern facility en l'Abattoir, là, il y a ça fait intervention, surgery. So ça, nous avons fait Ministry of Health, avec assistance des docteurs, ou ça nous avons créé district medical officers, nous avons mis en liste ensemble, bah, c'est pour ces gens qui n'est pour faire surgery à ce Abattoir. So, liste, nous avons finalisé liste pour ces gens. Et quand je dis ces gens, yo kalwe a parti moun a l'homme tous les jours. Et bien ce service là cal inclure tout pediatrics, dental, optometry, surgical, tout qualité service yo cal offre. Et bien une capacité pour presque 600 moun tous les jours à grammar school et bien 600 en Portsmouth.
En d'autres nouvelles, des gros projets de développement qui ont en place en constituency Kalinago. Parole celle-là sortie au Parlement, Honorable Cassius Darrow.
Ça nous a fait un constituency empowerment, c'est pour empower jeunes monde. Et bien ça nous a fait Kalinago territory, c'est pour nous ni en furniture workshop là nous a fait bagaille comme meuble. Et bien nous a ni au moins 20 jeunes monde pour participer à un programme ça là. Et après, nous avons employé pour ça continuer à faire ces qualités meubles pour nous vendre ma pays, pour nous faire plus d'argent circuler en économie. Les autres bagages aussi, quand nous avons parlé, nous avons Cineco, un resource center Cineco. Là, nous avons créé un small business initiative. Là, nous avons appris à faire différents bagages comme sewing, nous avons fait bagages tour guiding, nous avons fait bagages comme ça. Et nous avons fait resource center Cineco. On côté ou obligé à arrêter quand touristes là viennent à Kalinago territory. Avec ça plus qu'à complémenter ça nous avons fait Barana Ote. Parce que Barana Ote ça nous voulait faire c'est pour nous plus touristes à venir, mais aussi pour y dépenser plus. So programme là, petit project, tout petit bagage ça nous a fait un community tourism project pour ça make sure pays avec Kalinago territory bénéficie.
Et puis finalement, travail bien formidable en place à Sichime Dibik en Kalibichi. Membre Parlement Honorable Roselyne Paul visite le projet là jeudi semaine là.
Actuellement nous à Dibik, Kalibichi, à un chimé qui était fait avec l'argent moins qu'on parlerait bas village council là pour faire travail là. Et bien yo fait travail là tellement bien, yo fait chimé là, mais c'est pas tout, yo fait aussi drain. On a été un problème, on a détruit résidence avec Methodist Church là, et en plus encore, yo mettez light à ces basketball, à ces multipurpose court là, pour jeunes monde jouer sport, jusqu'à minuit, so ça a aidé avec développement à sport en commune là aussi.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins c'est McPherson ni un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Chaque enfant a un droit pour taper protection de monde qui a abusé. Et tout le monde ensemble a une responsabilité pour protéger les enfants de monde qui a abusé. Maman, quoi les enfants ont dit on monde abusé. Et bien continuer à piquer ça là arriver devant l'office. Un bon maman qui a protégé les enfants. Il ne peut pas accepter l'argent et bien matouiller pour fermer bouche et bien pour tout faire ça qui fait. Un beau papa qui a protégé les enfants, et il ne peut pas abuser. Et un homme qui est un homme pas qu'à faire break des enfants, ni pas qu'à ni visser les enfants. Les enfants, changez pour aider. Et bien parler contre lui tel. Si un monde qui a essayé d'abuser, tel dem. Dis-yo juste un monde qui a fait quelque chose contre lui. Les enfants, changez grand monde pas si poser mado pour chaîne pièce sigoué qui pas qu'à faire ou sentir confortable. C'est là pour croiser silence là. Child abuse a fait visser les enfants, c'est yon sigoué ou pas si poser chaîne. Pour plus d'informations à sous affaires visser les enfants, child abuse, contactez Department Social Welfare à sous 33 Great Marlborough Street. The telephone is 266-2080 or 266-3020. Afternoon.
Jeans or any pants that have a rivet button clasp may cause skin irritations because this hardware tends to contain nickel, one of the most common skin irritants. It could trigger a rash just below your belly button. If you ever had this reaction, try painting the rivet with clear nail polish or iron on a small patch. Either solution will provide a barrier between the metal and your skin and prevent irritation. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Tasia Floissac. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful weekend.